If more of you supported the show, I'd be less sick of podcasts.
The blah blah blah.
Sending out good vibes.
The blah blah blah.
Good vibes.
Blah
Good vibes.
the blah blah.
Good vibes. Good vibes.
108 breaths of deep gratitude and prayers for guidance and protection. And put on a didgeridoo and shamanic drumming track. Shivers or vibrations and stuff like that.
When you're 45, before the first cancer start, before you get your first heart attack, and cancer starts at that age, you diagnose it at 55, 60, 65, but it starts years and years.
Okay, guys, welcome back to Gramerica Show. We are going to be chatting with Dr. Joseph Antoun from L-Nutra, and about we spend a lot of time talking about fasting. It's mostly about fasting. So it's a great chat. He's very well spoken. He does a great job. And we got everybody's favorite podcaster here, Graham. I suck at fasting. Dunlop. Actually, that's not true. You're pretty good at fasting. I once seen you do like
not
8
lately.
days.
Not lately. No, 7 days. Not lately. No, not at all.
7 days on
Right.
juice.
I've been trying to do. No. It wasn't even really. Was it juice? It was just like watered down
Pomegranate juice.
A tiny little bit. I mean, it was like a glass a day, basically. But I mean, I wish I would have asked him, because we get into this, quite a bit of fasting. I mean, the science behind what they're doing with this nutrition is fantastic. I mean, they're talking about developing this. Our mission is to add more life to life, giving everyone the ability to thrive without limits beyond the boundaries of aging. So they're looking at like fasting mimicking, the science behind that, and what foods allow you to keep fasting. So they've got a whole sort of program there. It's amazing. And he's such a well-known, wait till I read his bio. I mean, he's such a guy full of knowledge. I mean, he's the CEO of the company, but he's also, a doctor. And it's just fantastic chat.
Not only am I the president of Hair Club for Men, I'm also a client.
Yeah.
It's a terrible.
I think I'm going to try it. Actually, there's a 5-day pack that you can buy, and it's plant-based, and it keeps your fasting going. So I was going to ask him, if you fast for a day or two before that and then do 5, you can get like 7 days. I mean, see, I'm already trying to maximize it a little bit, but he thinks 5 is fine. I mean, the science says
5 is all you need.
5 is fine. So
He said you don't need to keep regenerating your cells. I mean, you might want to.
yeah, I might want
to regenerate some of the cells right out of existence.
Yeah.
Regenerate 3 into 1.
So I researched a funny little thing to talk about, appropriate for this episode. I mean, we talk a little bit about that book, Salt, Sugar, and Fat. I kind of mention it because, you have to design food that tastes good these days,
Those are the best 3 things.
There's an amazing book called that. It's about how they engineer food for us so that we get addicted to it.
Who wrote it?
It's pretty. No, now you're going to ask me that. Eh?
I like fat.
I'll look it up.
I like salt too. I was just like cutting up fucking chunks of fat this weekend, like just giant chunks of fucking fat.
Well, I got to be
so
honest. It might not be talking about that fat. It's probably talking about the bad fat, right?
Is pig fat,
this was
bad
in
fat, or good fat?
This was in 2014. It's called Salt, Sugar, Fat: How the Food Giants Hooked Us, and it's from Michael Moss.
Is pig fat good fat or bad fat?
Well, I mean, I think it's good fat, but I mean, depends on. I don't know. I mean, I don't think Dr. Antoun would agree.
Seems pretty clean. No, he definitely would not.
Yeah,
he certainly would not.
So
especially
speaking
not
of that,
at your age.
If there's any carnivores out there, because he does get into age, like carnivore might be good through certain cycles and stuff like that, but not for longevity. So if there's any carnivores out there that want to challenge this, let us know. Send me an email, graham@graham.com.
Why do we have Buddy on? Who's a carnivore
the salt,
guy?
Sugar, Fat guy?
I don't know. There's
I
one guy
can't get a hold of him.
always...
I can't get a hold of him. I'm trying to get a hold of him. I can't get a hold of him.
Let me check my Insta.
I've tried.
There's one guy that's always in my Instagram.
Yeah, it's Paul Saladino, but there's another guy in the Instagram too that I'm probably following as well. and he's talking quite a bit about it. So maybe we'll do that. I mean, we're booked solid for 2 months now, anyways. The Grimerica show.
Really?
Actually, yeah.
Sweet.
I mean, we can throw a couple extra episodes out or something if you want to book somebody sooner than that. But so I also want to mention, I do have something funny to talk about, kind of like a project. It's not really a project operation, but it's about this kind of stuff, if you want to get into that. And I also want to talk about some new books that were released, some new audiobooks on adultbrain.ca.
Where do you want to start? Do you want to play a jingle? What jingle do you want to play? You tell me, buddy. It's your show.
I don't know. What do you mean?
Oh, it is.
It's our show.
It is Paul Saladino. You're right. Well, I mean, it was your show just for a minute there while I was scrolling through Instagram contacts. Now I'm taking it back. So you've squandered it. You squandered your lead, Dunlap.
So, okay, in the meantime, I'm going to read this. So we have these audiobooks come out, An History of Magic, Witchcraft, and Animal Magnetism by Kohun. That's volume 1 only. That's out there. Things Kept Secret from the Foundation of the World. And 2 books called The Open Conspiracy. One of them they're both from H.G. Wells. One of them's called The Blueprints for a World Revolution, and that was done in 1928. And then he rewrote it. He planned on rewriting it, and he did a few times and then came out with the final version in 1933. So that's called The Open Conspiracy. Very interesting book from the famous H.G. Wells. So you can go to adultbrain.ca for those new titles.
Adultbrain.ca. That's ADULTBRAIN.ca.
That's, of course, a shout out to our buddy David Weiss. He told us to use our adult brains, which we're doing. We're trying to. I mean, Kindle's making it tough. They torched both my accounts, so my book is no longer available right now. As of right now, it's not available.
Wow, your book is not available.
Neither of my books, except the ones available on audio.
Wow.
And I think there's a chance that I could publish In Their Own Words in audio, and it might go through or it might not. I'm actually kind of...
That's your second, just so everybody knows. That's your second book. Darren's talking about A Canadian Shame, his book on the residential schools and the Indian Act, and his second one is In Their Own Words, which isn't out on audio yet, right?
That's right.
I think, did we talk about the Kindle thing last episode?
We touched on it. I can't remember if it was this show or on Outlaw, but yeah.
No, it was on this one because it was for the Andrew Gold intro.
So they tracked down my other Kindle account because I had the backup Kindle. And
wow. Okay. I don't know if we need to get into that on the intro, do we? Or
probably not, but we did. We just did.
So in other words, we could use your
support. I'm being
canceled
all over town. Your
Twitter's gone.
My book is no longer available.
And you're an Indian. You shouldn't even be.
My book on Indians is no longer
racist.
Available. It is. It seems racist.
They're
calling me racist. That's the crazy thing.
How can you can't be racist.
I know, but that's what I said, and they did not agree.
Did you played that card?
I did. Yeah, but they
said
they
you're
trumped
an Indian
it.
Jew.
They trumped it.
Oh my God.
They trumped my Indian card. So I don't know what to do. I had thought about because I feel like if I publish it on your account, they're gonna torch that. I feel like those are the 2 books that it's not really worth the risk. I mean, then you could say, well, he just gave me the rights to him because you guys kept torching his account. But I'd rather they just didn't even associate the 2 of us together. You know what I mean?
Oh my!
So I don't know what to do.
So they're associating you with your books.
I think so, but I don't
your
know
own
if it's
books.
that. I don't know if it's that. But I had just republished A Canadian Shame when they torched that other account. It's too risky.
I'm sorry. I just don't. I'm speechless. I'm just thinking in the background. The Canadian. It's because it's also not very fond of the Canadian government. This book is about a Canadian shame.
It's mostly about the Canadian government.
Catholic Church of the Canadian government. So I mean, they're like, We don't want this guy publishing books that are bad against the government. I mean, this is where we're at. We're in like a dystopian novel right now.
So, but the University of Regina Press had expressed interest in publishing A Canadian Shame. When I was like, I can't remember why I was talking to them. I think I was getting permission, maybe, or getting someone's contact information to get permission to use something of theirs in the book. And they were like, well, you should consider using us and blah, blah. And I was like, nah, I'm doing it this way. And so I sent it back to him. I was like, you know what? I took my content off of Amazon temporarily. I don't know what I'm going to do. But eventually I'm going to republish the book somehow, whether if it's not through Amazon or through someone else's Kindle account. Then I'll talk to someone. I'll talk to Dave or figure out where the other avenues are. There's a bunch of other avenues to publish books that aren't Kindle. But he said they were going to have a meeting and get back to me. So maybe I'll go with a traditional publisher this time around.
Okay. Wow.
I don't know what else to do, Unless, I don't know, is there like Zelly or I don't know what the fuck. These like alternatives. If you guys know where you publish books that's not Kindle, let me know. Because as of right now, the people who have a copy of Canadian Shame, you have one of a couple thousand in existence. Anyway, enough about me and my, well, I guess this, we need a jingle for my Darren's being canceled from the internet jingle. Just one thing after another. But I've been behaving on Facebook, so that's still good. And Instagram, I just stopped posting. This is what happens. It works. Their tactics work.
I know.
They kicked me off a couple of platforms and I just stopped posting. It's like,
you just disappear.
Same thing on YouTube.
Or you end up in some underground, platform that's worse.
It's nice to spend less time on my phone anyway.
I know.
I've been dipping back into the No Agenda Social.
Oh, good.
And into our chats and the Telegram. There's more than enough there to keep my ass busy.
Yeah.
For sure. I don't need Twitter. And now Kindle, I guess. Well, I'm still spending a lot of time on Kindle, but better not talk about that. So what do you got? What kind of jingle?
Well, I mean, do you know how cereal became the quintessential American breakfast?
I don't know. Some fucking wheat and sugar companies got together and fucked us.
No, I mean it's interesting. It's an interesting story. Have you heard about the conspiracy around it?
The sugar conspiracy? Is this no?
There's cereal.
Cereal? The cereal conspiracy? All right, I'm going to use this jingle. Let's see if this one works.
This is the ballad of the Grandparents. This is the ballad of the Grandparents.
Oh my God. No, let's not do that one. All right, fuck it. Let's go. Let's have it. Let's have your cereal conspiracy.
Okay, well, this
is
is
like cereal breakfast, not like serial killer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm just going to read a little bit. I'm just highlighted a little bit of this article. It's from, where is it from? It's from SeriousEats.com. And it says, yeah, chances are it's never struck you as particularly odd that there's an entire supermarket aisle devoted to nothing but cereal. For most of us, cereal is the ultimate convenient breakfast, and even the most sugary of varieties claim to offer nutritional benefits and a balanced start to your day. Every brand is trying to convince you it's something different, something better, and there's probably at least one you're buying into. But it wasn't always that way. Cereal's position as America's default breakfast food is a remarkable feat, not of flavor or culture, but of marketing and packaging design. It's a century-long history of advertising, a brilliant campaign that capitalized on the intersection of industrialization, health consciousness, and changing class attitudes that completely upended the way Americans ate. And it all began at the moment when products were primed to transcend regional taste through the rise of mass marketing. So they talk about this thing that can be attributed to John Harvey Kellogg, right? And he ran the Battle Creek Sanatorium, an acclaimed Seventh-day Adventist health and wellness resort in Michigan. If you were upper middle class, a staunch vegetarian who was, oh no, did I miss? I missed it. It didn't copy that out right. Hang on a sec. Let me just check that. I do want to get that part right here.
Bing, bong, bong, bong. Whoa.
If you were upper middle class and above, it was a fashionable place to get treated for a variety of maladies or just to go for your general health. Kellogg, a staunch vegetarian who was especially interested in bowel movements, advocated eating everything from seaweed to yogurt to nuts and grains, a radical turn from America's meat-centric diet. So this is like back in the, probably in the, I think it's the late 1800s, 1906, I think. Of course, most of us know the Kellogg name from cornflakes, which the story goes where it was first invented at the sanitarium after some dough turned stale and they tried to bake it anyway. So I'm going to just flip back to my other thing here for a sec. So did you know that Post, the guy who made the other cereals, was in that he was a former patient at the sanitarium and he became so impressed with this Kellogg's grain experimentation that he founded his very own cereal company. His creation was Postum, a cereal beverage intended to replace coffee in the morning. So, pretty funny that these guys thought this was like a huge opportunity back then. So a box of Granos flakes from 1898 simply stated, enrich the blood, a reference to nutritional benefits the Kellogg's attributed to a vegetarian grain-filled diet. So then it goes on and it says, at this point, Americans were buying cereal because they were intrigued by notorious figures like Kellogg. It was first and foremost a popular curiosity. To achieve real legitimacy, the industry had to wage a war on two fronts. The first against competitors, the second against the deeply entrenched idea of what really constituted a hearty American breakfast. So then Post starts claiming stuff like consumers would get more nourishment from 1 pound of grape nuts than from 10 pounds of meat, wheat, oats, or bread. Another advertisement from 1903 promised that grape nuts were the key to kicking your liquor habit. These claims were largely accepted because, unlike other more straightforward cereals, no one knew what the hell a grape nut was. And then his desire to add sugar.
Grape nut?
I don't know. I still don't know. I don't think I've ever had them.
Huh.
So then they had a desire to add sugar to their original recipe. So the first boxes of cornflakes were surprisingly simple, of course. They focused on flavor. Then they promised flakes deliciously flavored with sugar, malt, and salt, and so delicious and distinctive in flavor that children would beg for it. So they get into like all these package designs and how they, in 1922, a box of Washburn's whole wheat flakes, later known as these General Mills Wheaties, called it a perfect food, ready to eat. Oh, it's just classic. And then they talk about how the early boxes of corn pops made sure that consumers knew about these new developments, emphasizing pre-sweetened and no sugar needed. So, because we used to have to sprinkle sugar on your cereal, right? And then TV was where the kids could get hooked with Tony the Tiger, which was back from 1952, and Trix the Rabbit from 59. Sonny the Cuckoo Bird from 62. And a box of Captain Crunch doesn't even say what it's made of. It just said that stays crunchy even in milk. So this is all, of course, until 1990.
I still love Captain Crunch.
Oh, I know. Me too. Just
what was your favorite?
Well, Captain Crunch was one of them. I mean, I just went through cycles. I went through cycles of all kinds.
I used to like those shit, but they got canceled. I think it was too sugary. But even like the semi-healthy ones, none of them were really healthy because it's just a bunch of garbage. But I was like a big Raisin Bran fan as well. I could fucking crush some Raisin Bran or some cornflakes, but I was dumping some sugar on them cornflakes for sure. Same with the Rice Krispies.
Oh, yeah. In the early 70s, Cheerios let consumers know that it was made of the grain highest in protein. And in 77, Wheaties proclaimed that it provided 25% of your daily vitamin needs, while continuing its long association with sports. And in 84, they had their first female athlete on the box. So cereal consumption peaked in 96. and has been on the steady decline ever since. So they talk about this guy who's a food investment analysis, and he says it's been a death by 1,000 cuts, affected by everything from declining birth rates, fewer children, cereal's biggest consumers, to changing tastes, to increased gluten intolerance. About 18% of Americans don't even eat breakfast, up from 6% in 1977. So then they also talk about how they changed, how they had to start providing all the information on your box, on your box of cereals of your nutrients and stuff.
What a way to start the day, eh?
I know.
Jacked
So get
up
this.
on some fucking Fruit Loops.
So here's the conspiracy. I'm sure you've heard of this before. I'm sure our listeners will be familiar with this. But this is a different article, because that article I was wondering why it's not going to get into this. But here's the unknown reason why Kellogg started it. Do you know what that is?
Make some money.
No, it's like a deeper reason why he started
Oh,
cornflake, or
To make everyone
started
dumb
this.
and stupid.
He believed. What do cornflakes and masturbation have in common?
They sedate you. Lower
Mr.
your
Kellogg
testosterone.
believed-
Lower your testosterone.
Mr. Kellogg believed sexual desires cause disease and invented the plain cereal to stop self-pleasuring. Cornflakes were invented by Kellogg in the 19th century. He believed sex and masturbation were unhealthy for the body and mind. He was a physician, uncomfortable about sex, believing it was unhealthy for the body, mind, and soul. He was celibate, having never consummated his marriage and keeping a separate bedroom from his wife. Now, I can't back all this. I haven't fact-checked all this. You'll have to go to the link in the show notes. I don't know if this is all true. I've heard of some of this before. I wanted to talk about it. He also adopted his children rather than impregnating his partner. And while he was anti-sex, he considered masturbation even worse. Self-pollution is a crime doubly abominable, he wrote, according to mental floss journalists. So then he said he believed that a healthy lifestyle could cure most ailments. So meat and rich flavored foods increase sexual desire, he said. Meanwhile, he believed plainer foods could help purify the body and the mind. So while working as a physician at Battle Creek Sanitarium in Michigan, he developed a range of breakfasts he believed would prevent a person from pleasuring themselves. First, he made granula, a cereal where oats and corn were baked and then ground into tiny pieces. Oh, that's so funny.
That dude needs to get laid.
Oh my God, he developed an enema machine in which the intestines were cleaned out with water. After flushing the bowels with water, he believed they would further be cleansed by administering a pint of yogurt, half through the mouth and half through the bum. And finally, he developed a range of decidedly plain cereals, including cornflakes, which he believed would dampen the desire.
I mean, when I was eating cornflakes, I was still jerking off like a bat out of hell. So I don't know. Is it like it could have been worse? Maybe it could have.
Well, I mean, I've experienced the opposite with meat, with a carnivore diet.
Yeah, and I do agree that if you get into too much of that
libido
stuff, it does kill your libido, probably, for sure.
Yeah.
And now, another adventure in coffee enemas.
Oh man.
No, don't play this one.
Ram-a-lam ding dong. All right, what else you got? Support the show. America.ca/support is a value for value podcast. If you are getting some value from the show, if you like it, if you like what we do a little bit or a lot, head over to America.ca/support today. Sign up for a monthly, make a one-time donation. Whatever you can do. I mean, just bear in mind, it's not a free show. It's a value for value show. You're supposed to pay what you think it's worth. If you pay nothing, then you think it's worth nothing. But at least if you can't, send us some cash or sign up for a monthly or do a one-time donation or something like that, maybe you can tell lots of people about the show, or you can do some other cool stuff,
That's a great way to add value. You can even do, if you like the products in some of these shows, like this L-Nutra one, for example, tell them Grimerica sent you. Or if you go to another show and you're listening to something that we talked about, tell them Grimerica sent you. That's very helpful. I got some shout outs if you want.
Shout outs. Yeah, all right. Let's hear it.
Just wanted to give you a shout out from the mountains of BC. You guys are at the top of my list of many great podcasts and the only few that I support financially in hopes that you keep providing great content and great guests and keep doing what you love. I've been a listener to the OG show for many years, but definitely enjoyed the Outlawed show as you guys go deep and dark. I will add that even though I knew I wasn't completely alone these past couple of years, your podcast reminded me of that and helped at times of discouragement. As a guy who lost his job plowing snow to the BS mandate, followed by mass support of discrimination against the unjabbed, it definitely got a little scary for a short time. Anyway, keep up the great work and thanks for introducing Al from Forum Borealis to my life. If you're ever stuck in this city and want some local advice, give me a shout. Cheers, Kay.
Cheers, Kay. Thanks, man. Or lady.
I got another one too. I sent you an email with a small complaint about an earlier episode, so I thought I owed you a compliment about this latest episode with Kay Yang. Big up yourselves because it was a fantastic flowing conversation. You asked really great, intelligent questions, and I really appreciated the guest. Thanks for continuing to delve into this super important topic. Thanks again from the UK. That was from Luke. Thanks, Luke. And that was about our Kay Yang episode on Outlawed, our other podcast.
We got some good reviews too. Review the show.
Yeah, that's a good way to.
That's another good way to add value. I'll put the new reviews in the newsletter. Go sign up for the newsletter. All sorts of cool stuff. We have a great trip coming up with our buddy Brad and Powell, Joe Roop, Owen Hunt. Of course, our brother over at the Higher Side Chats, Greg Carl, will be there. It'll be a great time. Come on down to Shasta and hang out, learn some magic, do some Wim Hof stuff, some crazy good times, have a hike, all that good stuff. It's going to be great. There'll be some snow. Probably we'll find some snow, maybe make a snowman. Be great. Contact at thecabin.com if you want to get in on that. We have another great tour coming up in April as well up in Duck Creek, Utah, which is a fabulous fucking place. It's just great.
420?
420, baby. 420. We might, celebrate. We'll see. We'll see. All right, you got anything else? Did you get out of here?
I got a quote.
Quote. Oh shit.
But it's kind of I don't know, kind of dark.
That's okay. We're just coming out on a high, but you can just wreck that. My toe hurts, so I'm ready for some dark. Your toe got dodged and mine got smashed.
We're talking about moving a fridge. Yeah, you should have.
My toe didn't get smashed in the fridge. It got smashed like right after you left.
Oh.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know. I do know who this is, and you know who this is. So guess who this quote is from. You ready? You ready?
Yes, I said yes.
The most terrifying force of death comes from the hands of men who wanted to be left alone. They try so very hard to mind their own business and provide themselves and those they love and provide for themselves. The moment the men who wanted to be left alone are forced to fight back, it is a form of suicide. They are literally killing off who they used to be, which is why when forced to take up violence, these men who wanted to be left alone fight with unholy vengeance against those who murdered their former lives. They fight with raw hate and a drive that cannot be fathomed by those who are merely play acting at politics or terror. True terror will arrive at these people's door and they will cry, scream, and beg for mercy, but it will fall upon the deaf ears of the men who just wanted to be left alone.
What's the era?
Ooh, I don't know, between the wars, maybe?
Between World War I and World War II?
Yeah, maybe something like that, or maybe after the wars. Definitely probably before the 60s.
Huh.
I think you've read one of his books.
Okay, it's not Dave McGowan.
He's from another country. He's a foreign writer from another country that went through a revolution in the early 1900s.
Dostoevsky.
Close. Solzhenitsyn.
Son of a bitch. They're all the same. All those Russians are the same. I can say that because they're
dude,
white.
you're just
right?
getting yourself in trouble again.
Can I say
you're
that
just
they're
talking
white?
about getting
I didn't say all
canceled.
black people look the same.
Oh my God. Yeah, but still, you just don't have to bring all this stuff up. I wonder why you're
I
in
do,
trouble.
though.
You
It's
just
funny
can't
to
keep
me.
it. Can't keep it.
Can't keep it what? Is this another one of your made up sentences? You can't keep it. How can be? You can't keep it. All right, guys. We'll let you. We got a bio. We got a bio from Graham the Bio Guy Dunlop.
Yeah, this is Joseph Antoun. His PhD passion is to enhance human longevity by nurturing a true healthcare system alongside the current sick care system. I'm just going to read a little bit from his official bio, and this is from L-Nutra.com, but I'll leave some of it out because it's huge. He's the CEO and chairman of the board of L-Nutra, a unique nutritech company leading the food as medicine movement by applying cutting-edge science to nutrition research, first to uncover what humans should eat to live healthier, longer, and second, to help patients achieve better health outcomes. Dr. Antoun served as the chairman of the board at the Global Health Span Policy Institute as a member of Forbes Business Development Council. He was the CEO of Health Systems Reform, a boutique consultancy aimed at elevating public health through reforming health systems. Co-director of the Center for Health Policy at University of Chicago. Adjunct professor of health policy at the Buck Institute for Research on Aging, and a fellow at the Department of Social Policy at London School of Economics and Political Science. And he's founded and served as the co-editor and chief of the Journal of Health Systems and Reform. He's dedicated his professional experience to reforming health systems towards preventative care, to create a market for healthy aging by launching the first aging and longevity product called Prolon, and bringing back fasting as a longevity practice to humanity. So I'll leave it there, but we do get into the healing of diabetes and cancer and stuff with this kind of stuff. And he's done all kinds of science, and they talk a lot about the scientific stuff that's coming up in the future. So there you go.
There you have it. We hope you guys enjoyed the chat. Dr. Joseph Antoun.
Dr. Antoun, welcome to Grimerica. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I would love to spend some time with you, and I hope we're going to change somebody's life at the end of this hour.
Oh, yeah, I hope so. Yeah, this will be fascinating. We'll get into, some studies on fasting and fasting mimicking, and
Yes.
and your company L-Nutra as well. Yeah, pretty fascinating stuff. So, maybe we can start with a little bit of background and maybe how your experience with reforming health systems to regenerative care.
Yeah. I started my career as a physician, and I wanted to be a cardiologist, and had all the chances to do that. But doing my rotations, I figured out that I'm meeting people after they get sick. So I was practicing sick care versus healthcare. And I was giving them the same 5 pills, right? One for blood pressure, one for blood cholesterol, one for blood thinner, and you name it. And it was a subscription for life. And right, you don't hear like, oh, my cousin's dad is getting this new pill for blood pressure for just 25 days, right?
Right.
It's just for life. And I was like, that's a life subscription for staying sick and consuming 5 pills. And that wasn't my passion. My passion was doing prevention and curing people. And so I kind of left and went and I did my PhD and a couple of masters on top of that, but they were all focused on how can we push systems and governments to be more preventive and to push investments into true curative scientific products rather than products that you have to take for the rest of your life. So it took me on a long journey there, and including joining biotech companies, including advising governments and ministries of health about system reform. And I hit a wall there whereby prevention is a set of recommendations. There was no products for prevention. It was more eat healthy, exercise, sleep better, but give me a solution that I can consume at the same time, right? You tell me every day eat healthy, but if I'm watching a game at night and you put a burger and fries next to it, I'm going to jump on that. So give me a true product, a true solution that can help me with that. And I was thinking, what could be a solution there? And was blessed to have a couple of people in nutrition that I met, and they were like, hey, food at the end of the day is the only product we consume every day of our life, 3 to 5 times per day. So the solution of really preventing or curing disease should be within food for prevention and food as medicine. And it was fascinating with that, food for longevity and food as medicine, two great concepts that humanity had not really worked on, and decided to look all around the world for are there labs working, putting the right science, true science behind food, because that's the problem as well. Most food companies, they jump into business. They want to sell us products today that are full of carbs or full of sweeteners or full of protein or whatever just to sell. You don't see a lot of nutrition companies taking 20 years of research like pharma does and then bringing up something that we can trust. So we decided to be the first in history, build a company that has, a couple of decades of research, ethical research, has patents, has, proven concepts, and bringing food for all of us to stay healthy long. So food for longevity. Today, that's our consumer part of the company. And then food is medicine. If believe it or not, today in 2023, if somebody has cancer, you pick 10 people with cancer, you ask them what you should eat to increase your chances of survival. Nobody knows.
Nothing. I think it's nothing.
Nothing. You pick 10 doctors, you ask them 10 oncologists, you tell them, hey, if you have a patient with cancer, what they should eat. And they don't know. And same for Alzheimer's, same for, by the way, 90% of us in America today or around the world, we're dying out of 4 diseases: cardiovascular disease, including diabetes, cancer, Alzheimer's, and diabetes, as we said. So we've never tailored medicine, nutrition to treat these diseases. And that was fascinating to us. So I decided to change my entire career and go and do ethical research and cutting edge, coming up with cutting edge products, nutritional products that are medicine for sick people, and and to help us stay healthier longer and live a healthy, long life.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So is 3 to 5 times a day too much? Are we eating too much to begin with?
Yeah, we're if you look back at our ancestors and for the hundreds of thousands of years we've been on this planet, we never had abundance of food that we have today. And we wonder why we're getting obese. We wonder why cancer is increasing. We wonder why Alzheimer's is increasing. And, and medicine told us, oh, this is genetic predisposition. But hey, our grandparents did not die from Alzheimer's. They did not die from diabetes. They didn't have as frequent heart attacks as we have today. So lifestyle has changed, and lifestyle is behind big time current diseases that we're suffering from.
I've often thought if I had cancer, if I got that bad diagnosis, that I feel like the first thing I would do would just fast. I would fast because we've done enough of these shows where we talk about fasting, and I'm not knowledgeable about all of this stuff, but I feel like in the back of my head, the thing that, that would help the most immediately would be to stop eating altogether.
That's our science. The science of fasting for cancer comes from us and from University of Southern California, and now Stanford and other universities joined us in the research. What is cancer at the end of the day? Is one cell that did a mistake while replicating. It replicated, became 2 cells, but didn't stop, keeps growing and it loses its inhibition to stop replication. And therefore it keeps growing. And guess what? If you keep eating, this is what what today medicine says. Oh, you have cancer, you're going to lose weight. Eat, right? Eat proteins, eat carbs, you have to compensate. What you're feeding is the growth of your cancer, because that's the fastest growing organ once you have it. And you don't want to nourish that organ and give it more protein and carbs. So we started our trials actually 15 or 16 years ago on cancer. And in mice, we've been able to take cure rates from 36% to 93% when combining the chemotherapy with fasting. Striking 36% cure rates to 93% cure rates. And that was amazing. And same with diabetes and other neuro diseases. So we started testing water fasting, but we discovered our biggest discovery behind our company is that if you cross 2 or 3 days of fasting, something different happens into the body. So the first 2 days, if you're fasting, you have enough reserves to compensate for the lack of calories, right? So I always give the analogy with banking. So if you have a company, it's like the body needing calories, the company needing money. And if suddenly you don't have any revenues, any money, you have a checking account in the bank. The body has what we call glycogen, so a reserve that they can tap into. And then you have savings, a savings account you tap into, that's fat in the body. And sometimes you ask your bank for a loan or a credit card. That's the liver. The liver can give you some extra calories as well. But that's enough for 2 or 3 days in most cases. Then the body says, I'm in a crisis. I have no more, I'm fasting, I have no more revenues, no more calories, and I'm consuming my reserves. What should I do? What the body does actually after day 2 or 3, it tells the cells, hey, I cannot feed you. I'm depleting all reserves. You have to rejuvenate. You have to improve your performance so that we survive. You have to be very cost effective. Same way, if you have a company and you don't have revenues, once your bank account is depleted, you're going to restructure the company. You're going to cut your budgets a little bit. You're going to let some people go. You're going to improve operations. And so for the first time, we learned that a nutritional intervention, which is fasting in this case, can induce cells to rejuvenate, to fix anything going wrong. And that's amazing because it's a natural phenomenon that used to live with our ancestors. Every time there was no food while they were migrating or whatever, the body knew what to do. But we lost that because we eat all the time now. So we had a miracle of biology in our body, a potential to rejuvenate every cell and to fix what's going wrong that we lost. And we replaced that with obesity and pills every day. So yeah, day 3, day 4, day 5 of fasting, the cells are rejuvenating. They're fixing themselves. If you think about a Formula One or a NASCAR race, when the engine is heated, when the tires are getting worn down, you take a pit stop. The mechanics come in, they check everything, they change oil, they change this, and that's exactly what fasting does to the body. But a cellular rejuvenation, not just a weight loss. And this is why fasting became such a big phenomenon. It's not just a weight loss, it's a rejuvenation of cells, which gives you now a healthier, longer life. And if it happens, you have a health condition, the body's trying to deal with it. You have Alzheimer's, oh, we don't tolerate something going wrong, let's try to fix the brain. We have diabetes, oh, we cannot allow the pancreas to be in dysfunction, let's fix it, etc., etc. And it's a one intervention that's trying to solve many diseases. And this is why just the last 7 years, fasting boomed big time.
Yeah. I did a 7-day water fast. Well, actually, I had a little bit of what was the juice I was having? Pomegranate juice, maybe a little bit diluted every day. I'd have a little glass of sort of diluted pomegranate.
Yeah.
But I mean, the energy and the focus I had was unbelievable after 3 or 4 days.
Because your brain rejuvenates.
I mean, I would still go through periods of wanting food and stuff, but then I would go through periods where I felt great.
And that's the deprivation fasting, meaning you're consuming nothing. And we took a different approach at our company. Once we found out that there are so many benefits of doing 3 to 5 days of fasting, and knowing that most people cannot do what you did, which is fast for 5 or 7 days, and sometimes it's not healthy, right? So there's
that's
a cost.
That's what I was going to ask you is how long do you want to push it?
And we're against pushing it today because we went and we discovered a nutrition program. So this is the essence of our company, is we were able to give you the benefits of fasting while giving you a special nutritional formulation that mimics that. So once we had very successful mice and what we call preclinical trials, the National Institute of Health, seeing these results, they said, okay, how about we give you, you know, today is $36 million. So we got a lot of money into our research. How about we give you millions of dollars? Can you advance your research? Can you biohack the body to find which food the body can eat and at which level? So how much carbs, which carbs, how much proteins, which sequences of amino acids, how much fat, which kind of fat, so that when the body consumes those, the radars on the cells, we call them the nutrient sensing pathways, the pathways on the cell that tell the cell there's food. Can you go around them? Can you circumvent those and feed the body while the cell's not knowing that they're getting food? And that's the biggest breakthrough, I think, in nutrition that we've done, some 13 years ago. And now we have a technology called the fasting mimicking nutrition, or the fasting mimicking diet, that you can buy. We'll deliver it to you. You eat it, and your body doesn't know that you're eating.
You're not breaking that fast, really. Your body doesn't think you're
Yeah,
breaking that fast.
yeah. Isn't that amazing? And people have different preferences. Many do intermittent fasting by skipping the breakfast in the morning. That's a weight loss. Again, it's not long enough to rejuvenate the cells, but it helps you regulates your weight, your performance. Even for that, instead of starving your brain in the morning and starving your essential organs, we developed a fast bar and a fasting shake. And they're literally called fast bar and fasting shake. And you can eat them as your breakfast, but it's the only breakfast studied to not break your fast. So it's breakfast without breaking fast. Some people fast for a day. We have a product called Reset. You consume the food, we ship it to you, eat it for a day, and your body doesn't know that you're eating throughout that day.
So you still get the nutrients and stuff, though, right?
Exactly.
Is that the gist? You get the good stuff from the food, but it doesn't.
Yeah,
Really...
it's all plant-based, premium, healthy. There's no chemicals. There's nothing artificial. This is like very high-end premium ingredients, but the cells don't recognize. They do recognize and they get them, but they don't feel satisfied. It's just to break it down. Say you have a company that needs $2 million to operate per month. It's like the body needing, say, 2,000 calories, right? If you come to the CEO and you tell them, look, I'm going to give you $1 million, not two, and you can only use it for ordering your supply and paying the salaries for your employees. He's still feeling the pain on sales, on marketing, on the other departments. So you're giving him something, but you're keeping the pressure on where you want him to fix. That's exactly what the fasting mimicking diet does to your body. Gives you the nutrients, but keeps the pressure of rejuvenation on the cell.
That's fascinating. Darren, do you have any questions at all?
How long should you, so you can't eat, can you eat that stuff all the time, or should you just be eating it for a few days and then?
Yeah, so it's a great question. Intermittent fasting, just skipping one meal, doing it with the fasting bar or the fasting shake. You can do this, every day if you want. It's not a stressful fast. It's an easy fast to do, but it'll help you with weight loss. It's not going to rejuvenate your cells, but it helps you a lot with regulating your performance, your weight, etc. If you want to go a little bit further and do the rejuvenation, the 5 days that we talked about, we have a product called Prolon for promoting longevity. That's the 5 days nutrition. We ship you the box. You have all your foods and your drinks into it and your supplements. So we take care of you the entire 5 days. You don't need to cook. You don't need to do your shopping. You don't need to waste time cooking. You get the food, you consume it over 5 days. And these 5 days are enough to get you into full rejuvenation. That product, you need to do it just 2 to 3 times a year. And you're not going to hear many CEOs that are going to tell you do my food only 15 days out of a full year. But again, it's like NASCAR and Formula One. You take 1 or 2 pit stops. You don't stop all the time. So when you want to fix, you fix once or twice a year. You don't have to do it all the time. But intermittent fasting in the morning, you can do it as frequently as you want.
That's fascinating. What are some of the other things that it helps with?
So we took the same concept of fasting mimicking nutrition, and we said, wait a second, if you have diabetes, what's going to happen? Let's see, does the body try to fix that? and we've done mice trials, and we've published the results showing reversal of diabetes in mice. Then we went to 2 human trials, and we showed that in 6 months only. When we say 6 months, you're only doing 5 days of the fasting mimicking nutrition. So 5 days a month, as we said, of our nutrition, the Prolon, 6 month period, so a total of 30 days only of our food. It was enough to drop your HbA1c, the major measurement for diabetes, 3 times what pharma does. It was enough to drop your weight by 22 pounds. It was enough to drop 2/3 of the medication, 2/3. And when we compared it to current medication, it was 800% more efficacious than the current medications that people are taking.
Is that regular diabetes or type 2?
Yeah, that's the type 2 diabetes, which is the weight-related age and weight-related diabetes. And we said, okay, let's see cancer, right? You rightfully mentioned cancer. We did 8 human trials on cancer, and we focused a lot on actually breast cancer because it's very prevalent. And we're seeing amazing, also benefits there, helping the body have the right ecosystem. And we do them with chemo or with hormone therapy or whatever the doctors prescribe as a current treatment. So we tag team with the treatments. And we saw 200 to 300% improvement the more you do the fasting with the standard of care together in some of the metabolic benefits that can help the body better deal with the chemo and better deal with the hormone therapy. And Stanford University is doing currently our trial for autoimmune disease. University of Miami is also doing another trial on autoimmune disease, and University of Milan is doing our trials on Alzheimer's to see what's going to happen with that.
When do you think you'll have the results of the autoimmune stuff?
This year, 2023, we'll get Alzheimer's and autoimmune results. So we're going to launch the first ever nutrition program for diabetes regression in April of this year. It's a huge thing. It's the first time food is medicine. And we're going to launch breast cancer regression end of 2023. And then we're keeping Alzheimer's and autoimmune for 2024.
Do you have any sense of what'll happen? And I know this is speculation, but do you have any sense of what is going to happen with the autoimmune thing? Because that's such a huge issue right now.
Yeah,
I mean, Lyme's disease and all. I mean,
Hashimoto, thyroid, and lupus and psoriasis. It's a big, and again, why it's big now? We go back. Your question shows that they're related to lifestyle, right? Why we have more autoimmune disease today? Why we have more cancer today? Why? If they were genetic, why they're increasing, right? If they were related to a static reason, they wouldn't increase. They're increasing today because the food we're eating, first of all, is creating breaches in the stomach. We call it leaky gut, right? So we're eating a lot of food with some toxins or sometimes even burning your steak and all of that. It creates micro breaches in your stomach, in your intestine. And now you're leaking some of the food inside of your blood that should not come in. The immune system sees a foreign nutrition that was not supposed to be in the body, then it tries to attack it, and by mistake attacks another organ, and that's autoimmune disease. You're attacking your own self. And the prevalence of autoimmune disease is increasing, and you're right, a big part of it is lifestyle. When you fast or you eat the fasting mimicking nutrition, first of all, it's plant-based. There's no toxins, there's no artificials. So you're helping the intestine to heal for over the 5 days and the leaky gut. Then you're helping the immune system to rejuvenate and not mistakenly keep attacking the damaged organ. And the damaged organ has enough time now to rejuvenate and to try to heal. And you're right on point. It could be one of our biggest intervention once the results are out. We don't have a sneak peek at the results. We do all those with big universities. We do them like drugs and biotech company and pharma, randomized. We have no access to the data, but we're eagerly waiting for it.
Did you already mention the study that's in your notes there about the findings that the first ever nutrition-based program found to promote regression and remission of diabetes? That's the study you talked about?
Yeah, we had 2 studies on diabetes. Yeah, and we're going to launch what we call the DRRP, Diabetes Regression and Remission Program, April of this year, 2023.
And I think it's worth getting into that. The reversal of diabetic, how do you pronounce that? Nephropathy?
Nephropathy, yeah. So a lot of
Because that gets to a point normally where it doesn't go back, right? Does it go from type 2 diabetes then into that if you're not careful? Or
What happened with type 2 diabetes is when the sugar is high in the blood, it starts damaging the vessels, the blood vessels. And the kidneys have a lot of tiny blood vessels because this is how you filter blood into urine, right? And you produce urine. So they're very thin, they're very small, vessels. And this is why a diabetic patient end up hurting their kidneys and they end up with dialysis. That's one of the biggest costs to the health system from a diabetic patient. So we did a trial at University of Heidelberg in Germany. It's one of the top medical system over there, and we just published it this past June, showing that, as I mentioned, you lose 22 pounds, you decrease your HbA1c by 1.4, and 2/3 of the participants needed less medication. And when we looked at the kidneys, we saw that there's for temporary improvement in the function of the kidney. And this is only 5 days, 6 times. So imagine now when you repeat that, and or what we have just done, which we started doing meal kits, and we now deliver to you every day your food, not a fasting food, not the 5 days, but after the 5 days, we now came up with a special kidney program. We send you food at your house if you have a kidney disease to help you with that. We send you now medically tailored meals for diabetes. So think about it like the HelloFresh of diabetes, like the HelloFresh of cancer. Like we developed a meal kit company that delivers medically tailored meals for your condition. And we did something also historical there where the government here in the US gave us a code like a drug, and now we're reimbursed as a drug on our food. And within the span of the last 7 months, we signed 71 insurances that are now paying for patients 100% to take our food, 100% for free food if you have one of these health conditions to eat our food.
Is that in the States only?
That's in the US. So we're really hoping to get into Canada and Europe soon. Already in Europe, Australia, and Canada, we have the Prolon fasting nutrition. This is already being sold there. But the everyday's meals, because it's fresh meals, you have to have, your kitchens and your manufacturing. We started in the US. We've been blessed enough to be considered like a drug and reimbursed like a drug. And soon we're going to go to Europe, Canada, and Australia as well.
So you don't ship the rejuvenation to Canada yet?
The rejuvenation one, the fasting nutrition one, yes.
Yeah. We have. Okay, good.
The fasting nutrition is US, Canada, Europe, Australia. We're launching Japan, China, and South Korea this year as well.
Wow, that's fantastic. Because I mean, the thing I like about the thought of that is that it's so weird when you fast because you're so used to cooking and cleaning and eating and all this time spent doing that. And one of the hard psychological aspects of it is like you kind of keep going to kind of the kitchen, or you keep going to like your normal habit of not only just the time spent eating, but the habit of like just eating stuff. So it's nice to have something all pre-done for 5 days. So you can just go to, when it's time, you just go to your pre-done meal and do it. And it kind of keeps that habit going a little bit.
It's very experiential, and people express exactly what you mentioned. You said, I have better mental clarity, I have better energy. It's very experiential. It's basically the essence of your body. Every cell, when you fast, every cell lives on calorie. So it's probably one of the few, if not the only interventions, impacts every cell from the hair cell all the way to your toes. They're going to experience the fasting journey and they're going to rejuvenate. And that's the beauty of it. It's one of the rare natural interventions. Let's not forget, this is how we were built as humans. We're not built to eat all the time. And for hundreds of thousands of years on this planet, we were fasting. So the body was like, okay, the periods I eat, I store that. This period I don't eat, I spend that and I rejuvenate. And now for the last 50 years,
rejuvenates a hunt, right? Get energy in the hunt.
Yeah, that's why if you look today at a 60-year-old person and you look at a 60-year-old person, old pictures, 2 decades ago, they looked much, much healthier, stronger. They had periods of rejuvenation. We lost that. The last 50 years, we started eating all the time. When you eat all the time, you just are adding and adding and adding and not getting that brake. It's like driving your car on a racetrack and not stopping and not rejuvenating. It just the engine ends up bursting or the tire ends up bursting, and that's exactly what is cancer and diabetes and Alzheimer's. It's just related to aging and unhealthy lifestyle.
So diabetes is still on the rise.
Yes,
Yeah.
unfortunately, I mean this is a tragedy. The I graduated from med school, 17 years ago. The U.S. government at that time was spending $2.1 trillion per year on healthcare. Today, we just crossed $4 trillion per year, and diabetes is on the rise, Alzheimer's on the rise, cancer is on the rise.
Yeah.
And instead of all this money spent, at least increase our lifespan, the U.S. citizen in 2022 lost 0.5 years of our lifespan. So we're spending more to live shorter and sicker, which doesn't make sense because we're spending all this money at later stage in life. We're practicing sick care instead of health care. And this is why when our science on food showed all these benefits, we're being blessed by, first of all, a lot of people doing our products just as prevention, and especially Prolon, the 5 days fasting nutrition. It's a big sensation. A lot of healthy individuals do it just to lose weight and stay healthy. But now we're getting also reimbursed for the medical side as drugs, and we're extremely excited about that.
Wow, it's so interesting. What about MS? Anything with MS at all, or does that fall
Yeah,
into the autoimmune sort of category? Or
yeah. University of Milan is doing our current trial on multiple sclerosis, but our medically tailored meals, we already have a reimbursement code for patients with MS to eat healthy everyday meals from us, and they will be reimbursed 100% if they are under one of the insurances that reimburses us.
wow,
First
that's
ever,
great.
first ever food for multiple sclerosis to be reimbursed.
Wow, that's huge.
It's. I think we're living a historical moment today in the evolution of humanity, where we're bringing back a true solution called food, and food is medicine. That's the right lifestyle. We're correcting the course of our evolution for the last 50 years, where we were just marketing behind food was just pushing us to eat and eat and eat and eat, and we're resolving that.
Well, not only that, but fake food. I mean, a lot of the food out there in the middle aisles, between the outside of the grocery store is not even real. A lot of it's full of chemicals and all. So at least it's also natural too. It's not full of chemicals.
Yeah, and most of the science behind food lately was, how can I find an ingredient to addict you to my food so that you come back and you buy it, versus how can I give you something to keep you healthy and stay healthy longer.
Did you have to engineer the mouth feel? And there's a couple terms that they use when they're manufacturing food there, right? The bliss point and the mouth feel.
Well, we initially did not. We're a crew of MD PhDs there. All we cared about initially was science. So when we first launched our products, they were tasting okay. They were very efficacious, tasting okay. What we've done last year, we hired a Michelin star chef. When we do things, we do them right, and we hired the Michelin star chef to rework on the flavors. And now we're like scoring very, very high on taste. So we hit it both science meeting great tasty food, because at the end of the day, if you don't like your food, you're not going to eat it.
Yeah, yeah.
And in the memory of folks, when you tell them eat healthy, they remember, oh, I'm going to eat a salad, right, which doesn't taste good. And we kind of did the right thing with the top Michelin. He's the youngest Michelin star chef ever, actually, and helped us. I'm going to keep him a little bit anonymous here, so he doesn't get inundated. We still need him before he gets out. But yeah, it's one of the top chefs in Santa Monica in LA, and he and they helped us with the food, and now the food tastes amazing. So it's highly effective and tasty.
Can you take us through that 5-day meal plan? Give us an example, because it must all be the same meal plan. There's not. Are they all the same? For the fasting one specifically.
Yeah, the fasting one, we have 3 flavors, but yeah, it's the same infrastructure. Basically, a typical day, we have your morning bar. We call it the L bar, the longevity bar. Then for lunch, you're going to have your soups, some olives, and some crackers. You have a snack, which is a chocolate-based snack for the afternoon, and at night you have your soup and your supplements for the night.
Nice.
So yeah, it's consumer friendly. You're going to recognize bars and soups and drinks and supplements exactly what you eat throughout the day. But the macronutrients, they're all plant-based and natural. They're engineered in a way and at a rate and sequence to not allow your cells to recognize those foods.
I hate to ask this stupid question, but as far as diabetes goes, like the difference between diabetes and type 2 diabetes, is this good? Is this okay for, or I mean, I know it's okay, but is it helpful for somebody that's already gone through like losing a leg or a foot to diabetes and they're like really going downhill fast?
So we definitely, when we're dealing with health conditions, diabetes and cancer, we definitely, you definitely should talk to your doctor, and your doctor will let you know if you can do the food or not. But sorry, on face value, if you had lost your leg or that doesn't prohibit you from again, you're consuming. That's the beauty. It's not like a drug, artificial and chemical.
Yeah.
You're consuming plant-based. Actually, you're consuming better quality food than anything you can go and shop for. But it's a fasting experience. Some people, if you're a pregnant woman, growing a baby, you're not gonna go fast while you're doing that. If you're 94-year-old and have a lot of chronic disease and you're frail, you should not do that. But otherwise, it's a safe plant-based meal kit.
Is there any help for COVID or long COVID at all?
That's a very interesting question. The National Institute of Health actually talked to us about doing a trial on COVID. So we only did a trial on boosting the COVID vaccination in mice, but we haven't started our human trial. So the answer is I don't know, but hopefully soon we're gonna do a trial on this.
See if you could fast to beat COVID.
Yeah, see if you can go on this 5-day thing even to help.
We have two theories on COVID. So first of all, on the vaccination. So when you vaccinate a body, if the immune system is not young and rejuvenated, it's not going to pick the vaccine and it's not going to. So a lot of the risky people for COVID are all the elderly, right? And the elderly, the problem, you give them any vaccine, their immune system becomes lazy. It doesn't get activated, doesn't pick up the vaccine, doesn't prepare what we call T cells that are sensitized, ready to reattack. So one theory for us under COVID is, should we do the fasting mimicking diet before the vaccination so that you have a rejuvenated immune system? This is what we tried in mice successfully, but we haven't tried the human trial yet. The second theory with COVID is the long haulers, right? These are the same like the cancer patients that got chemo for a long period, their cells get damaged. And should you do fasting there to push the cells to rejuvenate and to so we don't have an answer. We haven't tried that, but these are the theories. Can we help the long haulers, or can we help the prepare for the better vaccination pickup? They're theories today. We have only mice trials. We haven't done the human trials yet.
It's really interesting because of all the side effects that drugs. I mean, my girlfriend has a autoimmune thing. She's got Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Yeah. But I mean, it's just like the side effects are very damaging to her, and of course, it's hard for her to even take supplements without it sort of causing a diarrhea type thing. Or so the interesting thing about this is just that it's just normal. Like you don't have to worry about contraindications or side effects in general. It might be good for preventative, right? I mean, would it be good even if you don't have pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes or just in general, like doing it once a month or 3 times a year for preventative, right?
I'm answering all the questions with the same scientific rigor.
Yeah,
we haven't tested. We haven't tested for it. So you're coming up with an interesting theory, but we're one of these few companies that we're going to always hear clearly. We don't know what we don't know. We're not going to push on anyone or go off label. We haven't tested for that condition. So my answer is, I don't know, but you're bringing an interesting theory. It might help, might not, but I cannot say it would if we haven't tested it. So,
but for healthy, let's say, quote unquote, so people without these diseases or conditions, it still would be a good preventative, right?
For sure. That's we're the only. So we mentioned Prolon. Prolon is the only product in history in nutrition to have a fully issued patent on promoting longevity and health span. So when you rejuvenate your cells, you're keeping them healthy, right? And so we're going to publish a trial, a paper soon showing that if you do 3 times a year, the fasting mimicking nutrition is going to help you with what we call health span or living healthy long. And definitely as a prevention, eating healthy food, rejuvenating your cells is going to be a key factor.
How have you been able to break through all this bureaucracy and red tape and big pharma Gates? I mean, you seem to not Bill Gates, but the Gates, getting getting funding and getting these kind of studies and getting this kind of technology out there. I mean, I feel like you've done a really good job at just breaking down barriers or something. I feel like not many people or companies have been able to make this much progress. Staying natural.
Yeah. The 2 factors that help us a lot is that we were patient, meaning we were not rushing. Our founder, Professor Walter Longo, a lot of your listeners will know, he's Time Magazine top 50 most influential people in health. And he's such an ethical, pure soul that he said, I'm going to wait 20 years for science before we jump into market and sell. And that you don't see that in nutrition companies. Nutrition company they have to launch 2-3 products per year. They put a theory, say, oh, I'm gluten free, but they're selling you 20 chemicals with it and 2 colorants and all of that. And the goal of most nutrition companies to be a profitable business rather than a curative business. We took that curative business approach. It's like, we're going to hold off for 20 years. We're going to do an ethical research and keep, fighting for that. And we've been blessed. A lot of the initial science have been done by USC, University of Southern California. And USC has a very unique setting. They have a longevity institute. No other centers in the world has done that. And they said, look, we're going to be a center of excellence to tell humanity what we should eat to live long and what we should eat to reverse some of the chronic conditions. So we were blessed that universities already have labs, already have researchers. They said, today we have 18 universities working with us. They said, okay, we do have the infrastructure. We're going to do it for you. We're going to do it in conjunction with you. So that was the first blessing. But we as a company were waiting. We were ethical enough to wait and do the right science before we launch any product. Now, the second is like Napoleon says, luck is when opportunity meet, preparation. The second chance we had is the health system is in such a crisis that the government is saying, wait a second, I cannot afford paying any longer. Medicare is going to go was planned to go bankrupt in the next decade. And so you have a lot of financial pressure on the payers and the insurance in the US to say, we cannot sustain just, paying thousands and millions per patient just to keep them sick long. So that pushed them to say, we should find different solutions. They met us. They're like, okay, that's a solution. It's going to help me alleviate my budget. So it's an alignment of great science from universities plus financial relief from payers that kind of helped us get here.
And probably a huge increase in popularity, probably from Longo himself as well. But a lot of these biohackers and a lot of these fitness experts and nutritionists and just getting into the fasting thing and all these people measuring themselves and their own things. I mean, I feel like there's been a resurgence in health science in the last 10 years.
And hundreds of thousands of people rallied around him. He wrote a book called The Longevity Diet. I recommend people buy that. It was Amazon bestseller for 2018. He talks a lot about these discoveries we're talking about today. The Longevity Diet book is a must read. And people rallied around him. He owns 42% of our company, and he pre-donates all of it to foundations. So he takes $0 from our company. He's going to take zero profits. So it's a great humanistic story behind that unbelievable human Walter Longo that rallied a lot of people to cheer for us. And hey, I didn't mention the third difficulty. When I joined as a CEO 7 years ago and I was telling people about fasting, they're like, why do I need to starve, right? It was the last thing anyone wanted to do. And there's a big branding and marketing exercise. It was a marketing ingenuity. And we had to launch fasting. There's no company that makes money out of fasting, right? Fasting is absence of product. We were the only company that had a product there. So we had to launch fasting to the world. And that was probably the most difficult thing that we had to overcome. Today, you tell anyone, do you fast? They don't think negative. They think, oh yeah, there's health benefits. Let me try it. And that was a big challenge. And a lot of people around the world, like Dr. Jason Fung and many doctors, when they read the science, the big influential doctors, the Mark Hymans of the world and others kind of also rallied around us. And we created a movement behind fasting, which carried us all the way to where we are today.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's hard to explain to people that your hunger goes away after a few hours. Like if you just ignore those first few pangs, and after a couple of days, it kind of goes away. You know, it's kind of a fake hunger. It's just you're missing carbs for a while, but then after a while, it just it kind of goes away. But that's not going to sell. People aren't going to believe that.
Yeah, but you know, with us, they're eating food, so that we solve that for them, and this is why it's you have to. If it's difficult and doesn't taste good, it's not going to, go forward. This is why salads. We all know that you can eat salad and it's healthier than a burger, but it doesn't pick up. So we made the food that tastes good and gives you the benefit.
Have you thought about making animal protein products for this and having a whole separate line for animal protein? Because that's gaining a lot of ground too in some biohacking circles.
You mean mimicking the animal protein with plant-based or
no, just using animal protein and if the reason maybe it's not even possible because maybe you can't mimic fasting with animal protein.
No, you cannot because they spike IGF. So one of the biggest recognition when the cell, and this is why if you want to grow muscle, you eat animal protein, right? So it's a big push to the body. It gives a big surgeon of growth factors. So when you eat a steak, your cells directly recognize the impact of it because it's a big pusher to the cell. So the more you eat carbs and the more you eat animal source of protein, you don't mimic fasting. You have to go with
animal fat.
Animal fat has a problem, which is it's a lot of saturated fat over there. That's one of the problems of the ketogenic diet, for example, is that you should consume the healthy plant-based fats. And this is what we have. You want to eat cashew, you want to eat almonds, you want to eat macadamia. You don't want to eat fat from from animal sources because it gives you the bad fat rather than the good fat.
So I don't know any. I don't know. There's a lot of people that disagree about that right now, but I won't get into it because I don't have the background of the science.
We don't. That's our approach. Yeah. We don't agree or disagree. We show you the true science. So if you can send me, that's a challenge, and probably have a lot of listeners. I can drop you my email if you can find one scientific article showing that the animal fat is going to help for longevity. I'm happy to give you whatever you want.
Yeah. We have a lot of carnivores listening to the show. So
I know, but they should pay attention for the short term. If you want to eat, if you're 24, you want to build muscle, look great on the short term. Yes, you gotta, it can help you with that. But if you're 45, we can do a complete session on the podcast because we study this a lot. Nutrition varies with age, right? When you're growing, when you're 16, 17, you're still growing, you're young, your cells are young, they don't need to rejuvenate as much. They're not going to do mistakes today. This is where you feed more that animal, sources, and you'll be a little bit fine. When you're 45, before the first cancer start, before you get your first heart attack, and cancer starts at that age, you diagnose it at 55, 60, 65, but it starts years and years. This is when you don't want to eat animal source of fat at that age. You want to actually go more plant-based. Now, when you become 70, you have malabsorption, muscle becomes an organ of longevity. You go back and you eat more protein than not. And this is the life cycle movement. And we study this in our labs, and it could take a full episode to tell you what to eat at which age. But this is tailored nutrition, and that's big for us. So we should never generalize at what people should eat or should not eat. It's relevant to your short-term goals, long-term goals, and what age and gender and all of that.
That's a great answer. That's fantastic. It sounds like you've got a pretty cool company there too. Are you guys hiring at all, or do you want to tell us a little bit more about the company? Like, are you looking for talented people, or how?
We're growing pretty fast, and our company is called L-Nutra. L is for longevity. dash Nutra and UTR. So longevity through nutrition. That's our story. We put it in the name. And under L-Nutra, Prolon is the name of the consumer product. So if you guys want to read more about our products, just go to prolonfast.com. And our medical side is called L-Nutra Health, and the meal kits for every day is called Nutrition for Longevity. We're growing fast and we're hiring. So any
Really?
listeners who
Yeah,
are
yeah.
passionate about this, reach out to me or
And
reach out to us.
You're in Texas and California, right?
We're LA, we're Dallas, we're New Jersey, we're in Milan for Europe,
Wow, really?
we're in Australia, we're in Japan, and we're in Canada.
Wow, that's fantastic. Can you say how many employees you have right now, or?
The in-house ops and sales and marketing is close to 90, but we outsource. The R&D is 18 universities. All the supply chain is outsourced, and there's tens of people there.
Yeah. Wow. And where do you make the actual food?
We have many suppliers. The market in the US is supplied 94% from the US. The market in Europe is also self-sustainable. We supply from Europe, and we ship from the US to Canada and to Australia, and from Europe and to the Middle East. By the way, we're in Dubai. I miss saying that, and we're launching Saudi next month.
Wow. That's fantastic. Darren, you got any questions at all?
No, I'm interested to check it out and give it a try maybe and see, because it can't hurt. I eat a lot of meat though. It's gonna be hard to get that meat out of my diet.
I'm happy to first send you articles that you guys are biohackers and you'll be interested in that, and to see the impact of eating meat on it. It's not by mistake that Game Changer on Netflix was the most watched documentary. Big people, buff people like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and a lot of now people interested in nutrition and building muscle are turning more into, it's more that flexitarian Mediterranean average, right? So you want to keep the plant based. You want to add from time to time fish and red meat rarely, but again, I don't want to generalize because it depends on your priority. If you want to build muscle and you have a marathon in the next 4 weeks, go and eat your meat. But if your goal is to live healthy long and slow down the acceleration of your age, and by the way, there's proof of that, right? Ronnie Coleman, at age 55, he looked like 70 and he passed away. Most of the big muscle guy, once, because they inject themselves with growth hormone, they're eating protein all the time, their biological age is very high. And there are studies on them, they die earlier. This is why, again, Arnold Schwarzenegger turned full plant-based to compensate for that. You don't have to go full plant-based. We're actually more,
a good balance.
A good balance. And anything that you disbalance, that your body is like a smooth orchestra. We call it in medicine homeostatic, right? It's a smooth balance. You never should be on, hey, I'm 100% plant-based. I don't care about anything else. Also 100% plant-based doesn't help you live healthy long. You should never be a red meat. It's a balance. And your microbiome needs the balance. Your cells need the balance. Your vitamins have to come from different sources. And you can go a little bit more towards meat or not, or towards what, depending on the short-term goal. But and we study people living 100 and beyond centenarians. We fly to blue zones and to longevity zones. We've been studying centenarians for years and years. You don't find any carnivore centenarian, and I can guarantee you that. And you don't, and no one of the bodybuilders historically would live to 110 and 120. This is life. I'm not. This is not my opinion. This is life. Science is proving that. And go back and balance your diet, and this is what your body would like the most.
What about carbs in general, like simple carbs in general, like bread and pasta and rice and all that kind of stuff?
Again, the answer is it depends, but in general, complex carb are better than the simple one because they don't spike insulin and they don't spike the body push to aging. So complex carb in bread rather than refined carbs and white bread and sugar bread. So go more on the complex one, whole grain. The pasta, same story. You don't want to be on a very high carb diet because at the end of the day, you're going to just store more fat, etc. But the last 10 years, a lot of marketing went into demonizing carbs and worshiping proteins, right? And that's wrong. The carbs, every cell needs carb, but excess of carb becomes fat, becomes bad. Protein, by the way, a lot of us have, I call it the diabetes of protein. We get protein all the, I used to be super muscular. I used to drink my proteins every day. But when I saw the science, when I saw all the big, heavy muscled folks dying sooner, it's the same thing. When you drink protein, IGF increase, it's called IGF, insulin-like growth factor. It's called insulin-like growth factor. So the more they grow, when you're drinking protein and you want to grow your muscle and your other, what does it mean grow? It's aging. We don't grow anywhere. We grow forward. When you push the cell, you push it to age. You don't push it anywhere else. In on the short term, it looks great because it's a push. Your skin look good, your muscle look good, but you pushed every organ at the same time to age. And we got to go back to balancing protein with carbs rather than leaning on proteins. By the way, a lot of articles showing that cancer rate increased because of protein consumption increase.
Wow.
You drink protein, you're pushing your body, you're pushing your cells to replicate. How cancer starts. It's a cell replicating. It does a mistake, and it doesn't stop replicating. And this is why I was like, okay, go more on protein at a younger age. But if you're 55, if you have high protein intake, that your cells are old enough. When you're young, they're not going to do the mistake. When you're old, you have a lot of age cells. You push them with protein. They're replicating. They do the mistake. They become cancerous. There's a great correlation between cancer and protein consumption. I can send you tons of articles about that.
Right on. That's great. I love that answer. It makes sense. I'm gonna get some. I'm gonna get the 5 day. I'm gonna do a couple 5 day ones. I gotta.
Yes, I recommend
back to back.
Well, I don't know. I mean, can you do back to back, or can you do 10? Would it be better to do 10 than 5? Or
no. Don't. If you go longer, you're bankrupt, right? So. And you're rarely going to hear a CEO telling you, no, do just 2 to 3 times a year my product. So you buy Prolon 5 days, you just do it twice a year or max 3 times. You're never going to hear that answer from anyone selling you anything.
Not even like I know, but me, I just want to maximize,
No,
try.
No, it's telling the car, keep going on the pit stops because you get a max. Yeah, but I'm going to lose the race, right? So it's you don't need to rejuvenate your cells all the time because when you rejuvenate them, they're rejuvenated.
Right,
they don't need to.
Yeah, right. It's like maintenance. You just do more maintenance.
Now, intermittent fasting, if you say, look, I want to lose some weight, I want to help my muscle and lose some weight, yes, do the fast bar, do the fasting shake. You can do them every day or as frequently as you can. It's just replacing one meal, and that's fine. Yeah. It's more for a metabolic rather than cellular reason.
All right. This has been great. Darren, do you got any questions?
No, this is a great chat. You're very well spoken on the science. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's been good. Yeah, we really appreciate it. I mean, it's just such a popular thing right now, and it's
and he froze. I think it is pretty popular right now. It's like, did you guys both freeze?
I'm walking gingerly through the rat race. Take a look at the big old smile on my face. Kicking around down by the pool of narcissists. The people are many, they preen themselves, oh how they navel gaze. Somewhere over that hill, the gloomy skies cease to exist. I'm climbing that hill, I pass by and pity the poor Sisyphus. I go into hyperdrive, turn into a beam of light. I'm strolling down a static electric avenue. The people are predictable, they say good morning, how do you do? When out of nowhere, a randomly pure angel in the crosswalk bumps into me, and in doing so knocks all the evil and all the wind out of me. And it's black as tar, ugly as ever, and of no apology. This angelic mama sings heavenly of the truest theology. Together we're a seraphim dream, forever young with no chronology. 1,000 years from now will be written into ancient mythology. We go into hyperdrive, turn into a beam of light. Can you tell me about the view up there? It's sparkling remarkably, the air is crystal clear. Well, please won't you tell me what it takes to transcend this place? A little bit of heart and a whole lot of soul. Take a look at the big old smile on my face as my angel says, dance with me and your life will never ever ever be dull. I go into hyperdrive, turn into a beam of light, 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 turn into a beam of light.
Bye.